All right, everybody, we are going to get started. I've got a busy schedule for us today and a busy slide today. Uh, Once again, thank you so much for attending these webinars. They're all here to keep us football focused and free of boredom. It's good to see some new faces on the call. If you haven't been to one of these before, feel free to type any questions you have. Feel free to stop at any point and ask any questions. I want this to be as interactive as possible. So on the chat box, on the chat line, feel free to ask whatever questions you have about any of the topics we're talking about. After I'm done every single one of these calls, I am posting them to my YouTube channel. I'll post some of the old ones here right now in the chat. Feel free to go back to them, have a look, and see what you like. Again, these are ideas that I like, but they're not necessarily the ideas your coaches are going to like. So do what your coaches say, not what I say, but these are ideas for you and things that I think might be helpful. So with that, today's topic is going to be the passing tree. One of the things I've always dreamed about as a coach is having enough time to really slow play the passing tree. Most of the time you get about 5-10 minutes a day in practice to sit there and go through one or two routes at a time, and you never really get to take it from step one to step 9. So what I want to do today is go through absolutely all of the passing tree, walk over what I think a good route should be, what a good route should look like, show you some video of it, talk about some of the mistakes that are made that you see on tape, some of the stuff that could be done better, answer any questions you guys have, and go from there. So that's going to be the agenda today. We're going to be talking about some quarterback drills to get started. We're going to talk about the passing tree, and then I'm going to open up to any questions. But I'm really excited about this one. It may be a long one, so if you need to drop off, I completely understand. But if you don't have anything else to do, we might go a little bit overtime tonight. So with that being said, let's hop right into our quarterback drills for today. So pre-practice, so like I said, and I'll say it on all the calls, and I'll reiterate this all the time, you're the one responsible for your growth. So get to practice 15 minutes early. Don't just sit there and gab with your friends. Pick up a football, do a position-specific pre-practice drill. So we've talked about for receivers catching footballs, throwing them at each other, doing around the world, setting up a clockwork drill. If you need the receiver stuff, we're going to move away from some of that warm-up stuff that we've done for the last couple of calls, and we're going to move on to some quarterback stuff. So you quarterbacks, pay attention to these stuff. There's some things I like in here, and I think some things you might like as well. So the first one that we're going to talk about is the four cone drop. So set up 4 cones about a yard apart in line, and at each cone, we're going to complete a 5-step drop, and we're going to move step by step in the pocket to the cone, and we're going to repeat 4 times. So let's kind of have a look at what that looks like. Again, I'm not able to shoot my own film, so I'm relying on what I can find out there in internet land. So forgive me if the video isn't as good as it could be, but that's okay. You'll get the picture. Okay. We'll move to part where he's doing the drill. So 1, crossover, 1, move to the next cone. So I just got to add a couple more people to the chat. Okay, next cone, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pivot up, right? At each cone, okay, and then we're going to work our way. So we're stepping in the pocket. This is going to help with our pocket presence. Sometimes the best move we can make in the pocket is to step forward, right? It doesn't necessarily always need to be rolling to the right or rolling to the left. A lot of times our pocket is being washed out this way, right? We're washing our linemen. So if we go left or we go right, we're going to get into some trouble. Sometimes the easiest way to get out of trouble is to step forward into the pocket. Okay, if that makes sense. Everybody can hear me on the call, correct? Perfect. Okay, so one more time throwing through, and this one I'd like the quarterbacks to do on their own. You don't need a coach to do this. This is something you can do on your own, right? Take your drops, pivot up to the cone, take your drop again, pivot up to the cone. Okay, again, you're responsible for your own development. So all you need to do is grab 4 cones and get out there. A progression for this, if coaches want to actually do this one with their players, is at any point during this drill, if you say ball, the quarterback has to step up and deliver the football. Okay, at any point they should be ready to do that. So that's that drill. Moving on to our next one. Okay, and a lot of quarterbacks have seen this before. Practice drill, bag drill. So you're going to stand as a QB in the pocket, and you're going to move through the bags as you would in a pocket. And when coach says ball, you throw. Pretty simple drill. It'll make more sense when I show you the video. As soon as I can find the link. Okay. Got this from the Buckeyes. So quarterbacks are going to motion, drop back. They're going to come forward, slide over. Now, coaches, if you can see this, the coach is on the call. What this coach is doing, okay? So I like him to have a football. As he's holding up his hand, he's going to hold up a number 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. As he holds up his fingers, the quarterback's just going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. What we don't want is our quarterbacks so focused on their feet that they're not looking downfield, right? So we're going to go through this drill, the progression here, going to motion through. Now, at any point in this drill, I'd like the quarterbacks to have a football. At any point in this drill, I want the coach to say ball, and he's going to let go of the football, step up, and throw it, okay? What I like about that is it creates a situation that's realistic to gameplay. You always don't get to finish your play when a receiver comes open. Sometimes you have to step up and make the throw when you see it necessary. Okay, moving on to our next drill. Beanbags. So this is a good one. So quarterback completes a 5-step drop, and he's going to sit there motoring. Coach is going to throw a beanbag either in front or behind them. The quarterback is going to move to each bag. Coach is going to yell ball. Quarterback will step forward and throw. What this teaches us is pocket presence. What teaches us is the ability to move around in the pocket and at different angles. Okay, it's not always going to be stepping straight up or stepping to the side. So what that looks like here, a little bit later on in the drill. Okay, as we go through this, coach is going to throw a beanbag. Quarterback is going to pivot to the beanbag and then go to the next beanbag, right? Coach is going to keep moving them around. Okay, pivot over. Quarterback's eyes are always on the coach downfield, and then he's going to release the football when coach says ball. So those are 3 drills we can do in practice at any given time. Any questions on any of those drills? What I'm trying to do is structure these phone calls in a way that our practices make sense. So we always do our warm-up stuff first, and then we go from there. Okay, moving right into the passing tree, okay? So I want to take some time to talk about 1 through 9. We've talked about hitch to death on these calls. Again, I like my hitches at 6 yards, not at 2 as they're drawn here. But we're going to walk through 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s, and 9s. So we're going to start with a quick slant. Okay, I like 3 steps and then getting upfield. Okay, we're going to show it against man coverage. We're going to show it against zone coverage. One important thing to note, and for you players that go to camps in the States or that are coached by American players, you're going to notice that the passing tree in Canada is opposite of the passing tree in the States. Okay, so if you were lucky enough to go to the Manning Passing Academy, you would hear a 1 being an out instead of an in. Okay, so again, All of our evens in Canada are out-breaking routes from the quarterback. All of our odd routes are in-breaking routes. I don't know who decided that the two would be different, but it just makes sense that the Canadian game and the American game are slightly different. So let's have a look at our slants. Let me get full screen here. Okay, we've talked about slants a lot here, but we're going to talk about them a little bit more. So the player I want you to watch is number 17. Okay, so in a lot of our systems, depending on where you are, the backside route has a choice route depending on how far the guy is off. If it's in press coverage, we'd convert to a 9. If he's within beyond 5 to 6 yards, we'll slant right in front of him because it's a hard play to cover. So watch Ty Metcalf here. Ball is going to break. We're going the other way, but that doesn't stop him from running a nice 1, 2, 3 plant, and he's going to fill that area. Because he's got one guy over top of him, and because he has all this space, I would like him to run this like it's man coverage, even though this is really deep off. I'd like him to run it hard and potentially fill that safety spot. But climb up, make your cut, go with speed against man coverage. That's a nice, viable route. Let's move to our next clip for ones. Okay, this is a good example of two bad ones, a good one and a bad one. So if we look at the very top here, again, we have the same choice coverage. The defender is playing off, so I think we have a slant underneath. We're going to press it upfield for 3 steps, come out here. 1, 2, 3, plant, and he's making himself friendly. Now, because this is zone coverage, because we have a linebacker right here in hook to curl, we don't want to bring it hard at that player, right? Not only does it bring you into coverage, but if the quarterback would to look in your direction and throw you the football, you've got a big hit coming your way from one of the guys on the other team that really likes to hit. You really want to stay away from linebackers if you can. And so what I'd like to see him do, and he does quite smartly, is right after he makes his break and he sees the coverage, he motors down a little bit. Now, if we look on the bottom here, if we look on the bottom of this slant, we're really flat on this slant. We're not pushing it up, okay? So this concept here is this defender is going to have to make a choice between our hang route and our 1. Now, because we don't push this up, he can cover underneath and the deep route a little bit easier. We're not really putting him into any jeopardy there. I would like Ben to come up and come a little bit harder this way, okay? Let's go to our 4th clip for this. Okay, we're looking up top. Nice throw, makes a catch. Okay, let's watch that in slow motion now, okay? So we have a bit of soft man coverage here. So he's going to come in with speed. He's away from the linebackers, makes his catch, and turns it up, gets ready to get hit. But what I really like about this route is his first steps here. Okay, he makes it look like he's going deep. I'd like to see him take one more step, but by selling it deep, what this defender has to do is immediately pedal. No defender wants to get beat over top. They're all paranoid about it. Nobody wants to see that on tape on Monday morning. So what's going to happen is they're going to take a few steps back if they think you're a deep threat. So every single short route should look like a deep route for the first 2-3 steps. That will give you space. If you don't run short routes hard, they're very easy to cover because there's no reason to take them seriously. This looks like a deep ball, builds himself some space, defender gets lost, able to turn it up. We got a nice 8-yard gain on an easy pass. Okay, last one here. Okay, we're talking about the underneath here. Again, it seems to be the same receiver who I'm picking. You can tell who I think is a good route runner. Okay, again, we have this soft man coverage, right? They had really good cover guys, so they really gave us a lot of respect here. I would like Ty to take a little bit different angle on this, but it's still a really nice route. Watch his first couple of steps. Looks like he's coming deep. If he took one more step, we might be able to get that defensive back to backpedal for 1 or 2 steps. The moment we get him to backpedal, we instantly get 2 yards of a cushion. Okay, and then we make the catch. Any questions about ones before we move on to quick outs? Nope. Okay, moving on. We're going to be talking about twos, which is a 4-yard out. Let me actually show you that on the actual passing tree. I meant to keep referencing this. So on our PowerPoint here, now we're looking at the quick out, okay? You can run it square out. You can run it speed out, depending on what your coach wants and what system you're in. But you have those 2 options. And okay. So let's watch some twos here. Motioning over, we're going to be in tandem here. So it's the inside player here that we're watching, okay? He's going to run 4-yard out. Now, people who have heard me talk on these calls, what would I like him to do better on this route? Yes, I'd like a better friendly finish. For those of you, it's first time on the call, what I'm talking about with a friendly finish is if this is the line where we're making our cut, I like our receiver to come back about half a yard. That way, if there's a man on top of him, it creates a harder angle for that defender to get to. For about half a step, you're going to get a lot of an advantage. Okay? So small things, but really gives us the advantage. So out, right there. Okay, now that's against man coverage. I don't have any good clips of it against zone, so we'll just talk about it on this one. Let's say there is a halfback sitting here. Okay, so the halfback's job, he's going to maybe jam and then get out to the flats, but his responsibility is the outside for about 4 yards to 5 yards to 6 yards deep. Okay, if that's the case, when we break out of this, we're going to be running right at that defender. Okay, so what should we do if we're running a 2 right at a halfback? Anybody know the answer? Slow down? That's a good guess, but there's a term that I'm looking for. Some of you Dickinson kids should know it. Break down. Got some good ones. You guys remember the concept of tee up, right? So if we break out here and we see a halfback looking right at us, right? If we see his eyes, instead of running right at him, turn this into a bit of a curl here, okay? So find that little window and sit. You're probably not going to get the football, but if you do get the football, you're not going to get hit with a kill shot, and the quarterback doesn't have to risk an interception. So if you're running into a flat defender with a 2, look at teeing up the play, okay? That makes sense? Okay, moving right on, our second 2. Again, this defense wasn't very good. Some team of rich kids. I'm just kidding, Danny. Of course, this is Springbank. We're running. This player is going to come. You did win by 30. I do remember that. Okay. Speeding out. Again, not so happy with him leaking upfield. And this is a really good example of what happens when you do that. Okay. So he follows this course here instead of putting his foot in the ground and working back. And he doesn't finish friendly. So right now he's winning against the defender. But as he comes up the field, look how easy it is for the defender to cover on him, right? If we finish downhill just a little bit, I'm not talking 2, 3, 4 yards, just a little bit, it's going to create a situation where that defender is constantly chasing instead of being able to make up ground. Okay? On to another one. This is a really nice 2 followed by a horrible 4. Okay. Inside slot is what we're looking at. Plants his foot. Now comes downfield. I'd still like that to be a little bit more friendly, but still a decent 2. Okay. Again, though, like, not to belabor this point, and for you young receivers, I would get a line and I'd practice this. If we're making our cut here at the center line, maybe on the other side of the center line by a little bit, I would like to see him finish this route along this path, right? We have some spacing issues with the 4 that kind of screw this route up, but I just wanted to show you a couple of clips. Here's our last one here. We're going to be looking at this player. Okay. As we come in, cutting right off that. Now, here's the difference, right? Here's the difference a friendly finish can make. Coming down the line, that defender is always in chase now. We have not given this player a chance to make up ground by coming up field, right? He is constantly chasing this play. And that's what we want with our quick outs, right? If we can get a step on them, make a move, and then finish friendly, they'll be chasing the whole time. Now, quarterback's running for his life there, but we could have made a really nice completion there. Okay. Moving on to our next one. Those are our 2s. Any questions on the 2s? Nope. Okay, next we're going to be looking at our 3s, okay? So our 3 route, otherwise known as a dig route, you'll hear it referred to as a dig quite a bit, okay? We're going to be running that. This is drawn up to be 12 back to 10. I like taking it a little bit deeper. I like getting to 16 back to 14. The reason why I like it a little bit deeper is because you're guaranteed to get a first down. I find if you run it at 12 yards back to 10, sometimes it's 10 back to 8. You complete a nice pass, you make a great play, but now you're 3rd and short and you have to kick the ball away. So I always like my deeper routes to be at least 14 back to 10, but that's a coaching point that's up to your coaches. So take what they say and take their advice over mine because they're the ones paying your bills. Let's have a look at some digs. Now, I didn't find a lot of them, and I had planned this midget season to be running a lot more digs. So we're looking at this player here. So watching the film reminded me that I've got to change up what I'm doing as a coach. And I had a really good play that I was going to be putting in this year, but unfortunately, you'll all have to wait until next pandemic to see that on tape for one of these. So we're going to be running this, foot in the ground, coming across the middle. Now, what I didn't like is that we leaked upfield. It's not a huge problem because there's no safety, but I'd still like that to be right in the middle. This is a form of zone coverage. I know it's not a great form, but I would like this player to kind of find the windows here, have a seat, and catch a football there. Okay? He's a little bit shallow for my liking, but again, that's the way we were coaching it at the time. Play number 10. I do not know what that red line is. Okay, we're going to be watching this player on the edge here. Okay. Now, as we're standing here, what should this receiver be thinking about right here? zone, but what's more immediate, Mateus? I would be worried that this guy's going to jam me, right? So what I don't like that we see here, I'm such a stickler for this kind of stuff. Hands are down. I want his hands up here ready to fight. In case this guy is going to put his hands on you, I want to be able to fight and get my hands up. Right there, we're not ready to go because our hands are down. Okay. Luckily, this player isn't really putting a lot on him. Okay. What I do like this player is doing is leaning a little bit, leaning on him, because he knows if we lean to the outside, he's going to be able to break this inside for a nice looking dig. Play doesn't go his way, but would have been viable if we had gotten the ball right here, right? Make sense? Moving along. We're going to be looking at the inside receiver here. A very slick route runner, a U18 kid. Let's let this run a little bit more. Now, right there, okay, if I'm the defender, if I'm playing defense here, I am thinking this guy is going deep. I need to give him some space, right? Sells it well, foot in the ground. Now, nice friendly finish. Okay, it's about half a yard. We're at the line here, and kind of just ride the line. Sorry, not as good as I thought it could be. But a nice dig there, right? Like I said, I like it a little bit deeper, but well done. Okay, play number 12. We're watching that 16 again. First few steps are good. He pumps his arms, foot in the ground, cuts across, and he was got a good friendly finish, but realizes the play's going over top, so he cuts off his route. It's a nice looking dig. Okay, so now we're going to move on to fours. Okay, so 4, it's an even number. It's an outbreaking route. Again, though, I like these ran at 16 back to 14. Again, because it puts you in a situation to be in a first down step, right? I don't like an 8-yard completion on 3rd and 10 or 2nd and 10. So bring it out to about 16, come back to about 15, 14 yards, okay? So a lot of these routes we've seen before in previous things. I've shown them as some rub concepts, but now we're looking at this player in this concept here. Okay, selling it deep. His foot is in the ground, comes back, friendly, makes a nice catch. Now, again, when we talk about friendly finishes, right? Here is where he is right now, right? Sorry, not that line. Let me delete that. Here's where he is right now on this line. Now, look where he goes to catch the ball. Now, Coach Little yesterday on Thursday's call was talking about coming back and attacking that football. That's exactly what Tristan does here. He makes a really nice catch. Okay, but a nice friendly finish puts the defender in chase the whole time. Look at the defender, never gets a chance to come upfield. If TD was leaking this way and even half a yard, we can now close, and instead of this being a nice catch, we have a chance for that player to break it up, okay? These are such little coaching points, but there's things that can make a big difference on a play like this. It's the difference between catching the football and the defender getting a chance. Okay, here we go against Springbank again. This player's a little bit late. This player is a little bit early. Okay, foot in the ground. Out. Now, there's a couple of things I don't like about this play. Okay, we are not running this hard. at this point right now, this is a viable route. We should be carrying this out. We should be making sure we're out there. There's no reason to be jogging here. And we gave up the play before the ball was even in the air. But what I would like to see is right here, us carry this out and slightly back. Okay, next one. Danny, we seem to like this play against your team. I'm not sure why. It wasn't really working for us, but okay. Taking it a little bit deeper, foot in the ground, working back. It's actually a nice looking route. I know we don't get it, and I know it's well covered, but Kalen does a really good job on this right here. Foot in the ground, works to come back. Yes, he's covered, but his route will get somebody else open eventually. Okay, and our last four, I believe. Yes, our last four. Okay, looking at this player here. Nope, sorry. We're going to go a little bit deeper. We're looking at this player here. Okay, get bumped up a little bit here. But we still get the finish we're looking for. I would like Blaze to be running a little bit faster here, but I do like the fact that he found his sweet spot and he was sitting a little bit there and going from there. Okay. Any questions on 4 routes? If there's anything you take away from 2s and 4s and 3s, it's friendly finish. I can't stress that enough. If in case you wonder what I think is important, it's the stuff I repeat the most. If you have a coach that's saying the same thing over and over and over again, that's what they value. So make sure as a player you're adapting to what your coach is saying and working on that. So let's look at some 5s here, okay? When we look at 5s, this is basically 1 step to the post and then back to curl, okay? In man coverage, you want to make that 1 step pronounced and hit that hook to curl and hook that curl back, okay? Against zone coverage, you can kind of get to the depth and just sit because you're more looking for a window than you are looking for to beat a guy man to man. The reason why we take a step post is because the defender is going to flip his hips thinking he's going to have to go post, and then you put your foot in the ground and come back. If that throw is on time, by running a good route, you've given yourself some space. Okay, I've got a couple of different looks at 4s. Sorry, at 5s, and then we'll show you some 6s too. Okay, so we're looking at number 80 at the bottom here. Okay, foot in the ground, comes back. Now I would have liked, this is man coverage for him. This DB's hips are all over the place, but I'd like him to take a step to the post. This DB would have to flip completely and then back. Okay, but again, making himself friendly to the quarterback. Now, unlike the way I teach hitches for 5 routes, when you're running a 5, if it's man coverage, you have to work back to the quarterback, right? You cannot just sit there. If it's zone coverage and you're open and you're uncovered, stay there and sit. But against man coverage, if you stand still, what's going to happen is you're going to look open and that defensive back's going to be able to close. Again, we want to make his life harder, not easier. Okay. Another look at 5s. Snowy day here. Looking at this player here. Now, again, I said this kid was a smooth route runner. He's going to do exactly what I want. Plant, 1 step, and then drop off. Unfortunately, the play dies before we have a chance to get the ball off. but that one step gave him a two-yard cushion. If he works back a little bit, becomes same concept as being friendly, right? We've now got a 5-yard discrepancy between the two players, and I like that. Okay, let's watch that one more time. Okay, as you can see, stomp, one-step post, let the guy by. Now I'd like him to work back, but the play was already dead behind him. Okay, we've got another 5 here. Okay, we're looking up top, but we could also look downstairs too here, right? Man coverage up top. Okay, I would have liked that one-step post, because if we take one-step post, well, the DB was already flipped, but he does a good job swimming him by and keep working back to the quarterback, make yourself viable. If we look at the route at the bottom here, we're also seeing a 5 here. Okay, as we plant here. Now, if we look around here, we have a window that we could sit in, right? So I would have liked Ben to just kind of sit here. I get the plays going the other way, but we have this window right here. This would be a good example of where you don't necessarily need to make your cut as sharp because you're in a bit of zone coverage. They ran a lot of combo coverage against us that game, so. Gonna have a look here. We're looking at the bottom again. Okay, foot in the ground, works back. Now that is a route I like a lot. Okay, Ben has the DB, his footwork here. As soon as that DB turns to run, we're able to break down, get our feet back, and that DB is in chase the whole time. We decided to take a shot downfield, but Danny wouldn't have been wrong to reward Ben here with a nice looking route. See, the thing that I like here is he's open here, but he works to keep creating space for himself and working back until the play's done. It's a nice looking route. Any questions on 5s? We are going to hop into 6s. I only have 2 of these to show you. So a 6 is basically the same as a 5, but you're turning the other way and you're racing towards the sidelines. So you're going to get to the same depth, that 16, 14 yards, and then you're going to come flat to the sidelines, and it's going to be a race between you and the defender. Okay? So if we look at the 2 that I have for you, I found a couple of good examples. I don't run a lot of them, so I had to go back into the archives, and I'm still breaking down game film from 5-10 years ago now to get all this stuff for you guys. So looking up top here, okay, so we're going to get to our depth, okay, and then you see the race to the sideline there? I don't like that he has his hand open saying, I want the ball, because that's a surefire way to slow down. But he gets to his depth, puts his foot in the ground, and now it's a race between him and the DB to get to the sidelines. Now, you've heard me talk about spacing, right? So we're in balanced numbers here. This player should be over on the numbers. If he's over on the numbers and we run this route here, we have 5 yards to work with, 10 yards to work with here. Because we're not on the numbers, because our spacing is wrong, we now only have 3 yards to get to the sideline. So KJ here would have to put the ball perfectly in order for this throw to work. And even though we felt open, KJ looked past it because by the time he let go of the ball, the receiver would not have enough space. So receivers, do yourself a favor. Know your landmarks on the field. Questions I want my young receivers to be asking is in balanced coverage in the middle of the field, in a balanced formation in the middle of the field, where should I be standing? Should I be on the numbers? Should I be inside the numbers? Should I be outside of the numbers? So important, right? And this is a really good example of why. We want to give ourselves the space to win. One more time to run that, and then I'll move to the next one I have for you. Okay. Moving on to the next one. Okay, we're coming back here up top, and it's a race to the sidelines. I know it's tough to see. Player puts his foot in the ground and is working back down the line. Again, though, when we talk about spacing, look where we start. We are starting, I know this is going to be tough because we're on that sideline, but maybe working to get ourselves a little bit more room. Because of the way the defender was, we were able to just put our foot back in there and come back, race to the sidelines. Okay. As I said, I only had 2 clips of those. Sorry, I'll try to run more of them next year. Next, I want to talk about posts or a 7. Okay, so we're going to be making our cut at about 12 yards and then heading towards the post of the field. Okay, so very effective route. Sometimes I refer to them as control routes. Why do I call them control routes, quarterbacks? Don't be shy, quarterbacks. I know there's a few of you on the call. Exactly, Moshe. Exactly, Klassen. That's good. George Mack guys know what they're talking about. That's impressive. What control routes do is they control the safety. Okay, and what I mean by that is if we're running 4 routes against 3 deep cover guys, we want one of our receivers to be responsible for making sure the safety can't get into the play. So if you're running a deep route and a shallow route, you don't want the safety to help out over top. Put a man on him and run a 7 right at him, okay? If the safety decides to do something else, we now have a straight down the middle hole shot for a touchdown, right? We're getting the kicker ready. We're getting the pad out. So the safety really has no choice but to stay in the middle of the field. Okay, so again, this is going to be this play. Oh, no, I ran this play already. Let's move to our next one. Okay. Good example here. We have our rub concept. At 12 yards, Jake is going to put his foot in the ground. The safety gives him a lot of room. Okay. And in this case, our deep guy was so concerned about other things that we were able to sneak this one by, right? What I'm not a huge fan of here is as Jake makes his cut, he's immediately looking. Okay. Most of the time, that's not going to be the case. I'd like you to take 3 hard steps after making your cut. Cut 1, 2, 3, and then head, look for the football, right? But after we hit this play, we hit it twice in this game. They put a safety in the middle of the field, and they didn't move him from that spot, okay? Because they knew he was 1 play away from breaking that as a touchdown. Okay, we'll have another look at a very similar look at this. Okay, motioning across. Inside guy. Now, safety is so concerned about the 8s. He's going to be playing way off. We have man coverage. We beat him inside. Jake does a better job of showing those 3 hard steps there. Looks, catches a nice play, okay? Got a couple other looks at it here, okay? So on this play, we have an outside release 9. We have double posts and a crossing route, okay? So the double posts are important. If you're running a concept where we have double posts against a cover 3 situation or something like that, the whole point of this is to layer the safety, right? If you're running 1 deep and 1 shallow, the safety can't be right. You know, you'll either see the safety cover the deepest guy and give up the underneath route, or he's going to get nosy, take the underneath route, and get beat over top. It's really a can't-win scenario. So watch the 2 7s at top. Okay, safety's coming back. both run good routes. We're layering them. We make a nice play here. Okay. Next one. Actually, I'm not 100% sure why that was on there. I think I got the wrong clip. Sorry about that. So moving on now, because I'm out of 7 clips, so we're going to be on to our 8 looks. Let's have a look at our 8s. We've beat 8s to death on this call. It's probably my favorite route against any sort of man coverage, so you've seen a lot of it. Again, we're going to be breaking at that 12. Sometimes some coaches like you to take a step post and then break it out. You can do that for play action. You can do that for long developing plays. But against a man cover one situation, I would just get to that 12 yards and break it out. Again, if you're within the 25-yard lines, if you're further than the 25-yard line, you're aiming for the first cone of the end zone. If you're within the 25, you're aiming for the back port of the end zone, right? We're going to have 2 looks at that. I could have showed you 8s all day long, and we've done a lot of them, so I'll just show you a couple of looks that you might not have seen yet. Well, that's not the right clip either. Sorry, guys. Give me a second here. I've had to battle with Huddle lately. You might only get 1 8 clip here. Yes, this is the right one. Okay. So quarterbacks, what kind of coverage do you think this is?